Welcome to Islam Has a Right to Know. And the presentations we've been making here in the last few weeks have been designed to show Islam is in the Bible. And we're on Revelation chapter 9. We just have completed a story or a presentation written by Dr. Hogg and Dr. Zahor. And it's from the conference handbook that I received in 2012 from the Red Gub Center in Wentworth, Australia, Sydney, Australia, and Dr. Laban. Dr. Laban passed away just before the conference was held, and he was a good friend of mine. And we're just talking about him and about what he would do and how he worked with us and the blessings that they were to me as a Seventh-day Adventist. He taught me a lot about faithfulness and so forth from a Muslim's perspective. And he was very courteous and very kind to us. And we had just finished the article here, but written by Dr. Hogg and Dr. Zahor, and I had just read it. It's on last week's presentation, and I just want to start now with At-Tubah, Surah 929. And this text, I think, you Muslims need to realize is not a negative. It's a positive. Because this is your calling. It says, "Fight those who believe not in Allah, nor His last day, nor hold that forbidden which hath been forbidden by Allah and His apostles, nor acknowledge the religion of truth, even if they are people of the book, until they pay tax with willing submission and feel themselves subdued." My friends, the people you were to fight to bring judgment upon was the apostate Christian church of the era that brought in idol worship, changed the day of worship from Sabbath till Sunday, because that's very important. Because the Arab people, the early Muslims, were Sabbath keepers. Otherwise, Muhammad wouldn't be faithfully condemning people who broke the Sabbath. Yes, and the Quran talks about the Jews that did that, but there was other reasons for that. I won't go into that. You know your history better than I do. And you know what the Jewish people did to Muhammad at Mecca. But at the same time, there is a reason that Friday is a special day of prayer. Because Muhammad called the Muslim people together and prayed with them at Mecca to be ready for the Sabbath that was coming. My friends, this is not a disjointed family. Seventh-day Adventists keep the seventh-day Sabbath because it's a sign of Allah's power of sanctification. I can't work my way to heaven. I can't do enough of good deeds to get to heaven. Even though the perception of mine, I had grew to understand that, not from a biblical position, but from just something I was told. My friends, just as Isa al-Masih was given a gift of righteousness, or a gift of holiness, of what the angel told Mary before she became with child, you and I can have the same gift. That's why Isa al-Masih came as an example, as a human being, as an example for you and I. He's our example. I cannot copy a God, but I can look at a human being, read his story in the Injil, and see how he lived. And he got tired. He got dirty. My friends, Islam was called to fight the Christians of the day that had given up on what the Bible was saying, and Muhammad was reminding them what a prophet of God was telling them. This chart we've seen before in these presentations. The blue line on the bottom where the red arrow is, that's the line of Islam. That's the line of Islam. My friends, Islam is in the Bible. My Bible books that I can read, that I can buy, that other people have written, they talk about Muhammad. I can read about him. They were printed over 60 years ago. by Roy Allen Anderson, Unfolding Revelation. The book that I wrote, Islam, God's Forgotten Blessing, is about Revelation chapter 9, which we're talking about right now. My friends, this isn't for Muslims. This is for Christians, because I've heard Christianity tell me Islam is not in the Bible, and I disagreed with that. And I wanted to document that, what I found from ancient history, which is not really that ancient. It's less than 100 years old. Some of it's 200 years old. But my friends, your story is in the Bible. In Surah 3, verse 113, Muhammad made a call, and he had it right. He said, not all of them are alike of the Christians, of the people of the book. Our portions stand for the right. They rehearse the signs of Allah all night long, then prostrate themselves in adoration. Verse 3, 114 says, they believe in Allah on the last day. They enjoin what is right, forbid what is wrong. They hasten emulation, all good works. They are in the ranks of the righteous. You know, I can't claim myself righteous. That's not my prerogative. The only person who can call me righteous is Allah. At the same time, Isa al-Masih lived as a human being. We Christians copy him by his power. We remain submitted to him by Allah's power. That power can only come to us as a gift. That's why Isa walked this earth as a human being. Because he wanted to show you and I the way. He has. They believe in Allah. We as Seventh-day Adventists, we believe in a God. We believe in the last day. We believe in a judgment. My friends, this is what it says in Exodus 31:13, Ezekiel 20, verse 12. And it points out here, are we keeping the Sabbath, the same Sabbath, because it is God's law, and Ishmael and Abraham kept it? That's Exodus 20, verse 8 through 11. Or do we keep it because of what God has done and is doing for us? Exodus 31:13, Ezekiel 20, verse 12. I believe that Muhammad was a Sabbath keeper also. And he did it because it was the power of Allah that made him righteous. That's the only hope for any of us, is to be made righteous. Muhammad had that understanding. That's why the special Friday prayers. That Friday prayer just didn't come, my Muslim brothers and sisters. It was because Muhammad wasn't going to be selling things at the Mecca market on Saturday or Sabbath. He wanted the people to go home, come back on the first day of the week, and start business again. Muhammad was a prophet of God. If he was a prophet of God, he kept the law by grace, by a gift from Allah, just as the other prophets did. Sign of sanctification. Speak thou also to the children of Israel, saying, verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that sanctify you. Exodus 31:13. Remember what the angel said to Mary when he met her, and Mary questioned him. We wish to give you a holy son. Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am the Lord that sanctify them. You see, it's a gift from Allah. He does the work. He makes you and I holy. And hallow my Sabbaths, that they shall be a sign between me and you, that ye may know that I am the Lord your God. Ezekiel 20, verse 12. Righteousness. Al-Araf, Surah 7:26. This is what it says in the Quran. O ye children of Adam, we have bestowed raiment upon you to cover your shame, as well as to be an adornment for you. But the raiment of righteousness, that is the best. Such are among the signs of Allah, that they may receive admonition. The Quran talks about a robe of righteousness. My Muslim brothers and sisters, without that robe of righteousness covering me, there's no hope for me. I will not be in heaven. That gift of that robe, I have to be given by Allah. That's what the Quran says. It says, O children of Adam, we have bestowed raiment upon you to cover your shame as well as being adornment to you. Not just your shame of nakedness, but your shame of sin. But the raiment of righteousness, that is the best. Such are among the signs of Allah, that they may receive admonition. Revelation chapter 9, verse 5. We're going back now to the Bible. What it says. We've covered 4 verses already. Actually 5, because we covered Revelation chapter 8, verse 13. It says, and to them it was given that they should not kill them, but they should be tormented 5 months. As their torment was a torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. Now, Islam is being commanded again to do something, or to be aware of something. Let me read this verse again. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. Now, you've seen this chart here of these different pictures. These pictures of these beasts and these animals are in the books of Daniel and Revelation. That green arrow is pointing to a place on the blue line. It's many years after Muhammad's passed away. And my friends, this is a 150-year time frame that arrow is pointing to. This was the time frame that you'd go back to Constantinople when the Ottoman Turks were in power, that they were going to be chasing the Eastern Roman Catholic people out of Constantinople. Because the apostasy that was going on was an abomination. You know the history, I know the history. I just want to show you on the chart what was happening. And my friends, this is important. Verse 6 of Revelation chapter 9. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and men shall flee from them. Because if you were of the wrong church, if you were of the apostates Christians, who were eating pork, eating unclean foods, worshiping on Sunday, you were going to be killed. You were going to have a judgment brought against you. And that was the work that Islam is supposed to do. Even though Muhammad has been dead by now, by hundreds of years, the message of Islam was still going on. Every Arab village had the word of Allah in the Quran in it. At least that's the way it was in Central Asia. I assume it was throughout the Middle East the very same way. Verse 7 of chapter 9. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses, prepared unto battle. And their heads were as it were like crowns of gold, and their faces were the faces of men. This is interesting. This information that I'm going to show you here, I saw in the Ottoman Military Museum in Istanbul, Turkey. I was fully aware of these prophecies, but I had not seen what I was going to see when I walked into the door, literally walked in the door, went through the lobby, paid my few dollars to get in, and this is what I saw. I saw a helmet, gold colored, made out of brass, shined. It could be gold. The Bible says gold-like, or what it says there, crowns like gold. Didn't say they were, but they were like gold. And their faces were as the faces of men. You see that this went over the horse's head. You had the little flipper above the eyes that would go between the ears. And the jawbone of the horse was covered with these, by the eyes, that was all hinged back to protect the horse. And so if you were in that type of battle, You'd see these horses coming at you. They'd be very frightful, very scary. This was another helmet, you might say, of the horse here. You see how the nostrils are flared out at the bottom? Not as ornate, maybe, as the other one we just saw. You see the slot for the eyes there, and you'd see the flipper up there above the ears. That would all fit there together. And this one here is very ornate. This here was worked on craftsmanship and is all etched. Whether it was brass or whether it was gold, I couldn't tell you. Here's another one here that was just very ornate as well. My friends, the Bible made a claim. This proved my Bible was correct again. I remember I had a leader from the church with me, and I took him to this museum. And I said, I'm going to show you these helmets that the Bible is talking about, that the horses will be clothed in like gold. I remember we stood before these here. I opened my Bible and I was reading it to him about the prophecies, about the Arab people. He smiled at me. He says, I still don't believe you. I shut my Bible and said, I found out which college he learned that from. I shut my Bible and smiled, and that was all I could say to him. Because when you have people who claim to believe the Bible, see it, it's right there, and then don't believe it, what else is there to do? I folded my Bible. I went on the tour that I have been on many times, seeing the same things I'd seen before. My friends, it's a sad day. It's going to be a sad day for the Christians who had their Bible and never believed. Be a sad day for the Muslims who had their Quran and never believed about the concept of righteousness. Verse 8, and they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. This is what these horses looked like. This is what the men riding them. The horses had the helmets on. They were also, as you look through the Ottoman Military Museum, very frightful warriors coming. And this is who God was using to bring judgment upon the fallen church from Rome. Verse 9, and they had breastplates as there were breastplates of iron. We're talking about plates that went over the chest. And the sound of their wings as it was the sound of chariots, of many horses running to battle. They looked like wings possibly as they came at you. A lot of noise, running to chariots and so forth. And they had tails like unto scorpions. And there were stings in their tails, and they had power to hurt men for 5 months. Now 5 months here, prophetically, we Seventh-day Adventists have come to realize in prophetic time, that's 150 days, or 150 years. It's actually years. And as we get on here a little bit, we're going to go into a series of verses that show about the power of Islam. It was a period of 150 years. That's what this was. Because we take the Jewish time, the Bible is written in Jewish logic. The Jews believed 30 days in a month. Not like we have today, like some are 28, some are 30, some are 31. But all Jews believed. So when we figured out prophecy, our early Adventist pioneers, on those charts, everything was based on a Jewish year. Now we're reading from Revelation chapter 9, verse 11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel I'm having here. Number 32 is from the Strong's Concordance. Number 32, that's what they assigned the angel word, means messenger of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. We're talking about Islam being a destroyer. And many times people read this and see Islam is of the devil because they're destroying people. You don't recognize the issue in the Bible. This power in Constantinople and in Rome, Italy, this power had changed so much of Christianity, it wasn't recognized. They changed the day of worship that Abraham and Ishmael and Isaac went on. They worshiped on the seventh-day Sabbath. This power in Constantinople and in Istanbul changed it to be Sunday. Muhammad did his very best to teach the Muslims the right day of worship, as he would meet with them on Friday afternoon to have them go home from Mecca and not sell on the seventh-day Sabbath, because that was God's holy day, and come back on Sunday and sell. Muhammad did the best he could to get them to realize, the Arabs to realize, that their Arab parents, when you go back to Keturah, they were seventh-day worship people. They were seventh-day Sabbath people. He knew that. That was still binding. And he was there to preach those concepts to the Arabs of his day. But they were, this power, the angel of the bottomless pit, they were destroyers. Why? Because this church had reneged on its promises to Allah, and they were to have judgment brought against them, and they were to be destroyed. This is what the Bible says. They weren't doing anything they weren't told to do, and that's very unusual, because people who read the Bible don't believe that, there's people who read the Bible, I should say, that believe that God doesn't kill, which is a false concept. Judgment is always there in the Bible if you disobey. They were to be destroyed. These apostate Christians changed the day of worship from Sabbath to Sunday, brought in idol worship. That's why when you go into Istanbul, you look at the mosques that were former Catholic churches, you see the statues there. My friends, the Bible is true, and it puts Islam in the proper meaning, the proper bearing, because they were called to do a specific work. Here's the map again. That green arrow is pointing to 150 years or 150 days, which were months, prophetically. Again, you look at all this that Islam controlled. This map was made after, showed the time of Muhammad. But now we're 800 years just about past that. And think about all that they had taken control of. Hadn't increased a whole lot from where it was during Muhammad's time. But it's still the time that God is controlling and empowering the world of Islam. Revelation 9 verse 12. One woe is past, behold, there come two more woes hereafter. We're in the fifth trumpet. There's two trumpets yet to come. The sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God. This is a sanctuary. This was a sanctuary in the time of Moses, when they were traveling through the Arabian desert, through Mount Sinai. And the high priest, it's interesting, the high priest always had to be a human being. That was the model for that. Isa el-Masih, when he went back to heaven, he became a high priest for us. Because the high priest was a human being, he could listen to people's situations. Same with Isa el-Masih. He knows what kind of situation you and I are. He knows that we hurt, we get tired. He knows that. This here is the altar that we're talked about. There's four horns on that altar, right there. And there's voices coming out of that. The one thing that was interesting to me, that people who want to say that The star that fell back in Revelation 9 is the devil. Now you have that power, whatever power that was, speaking from the four horns of the golden altar. My Muslim friends, my Arab friends, the devil is not back in heaven at all. He's not speaking from these horns. Who's speaking from these horns? Is another human being by the name of Isa el-Messiah. The sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God. That is nothing more than Isa el-Messiah, because he knows the prophecies that Allah has given, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. This is where the area, the Euphrates River, is from here. The four angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour, a day, a month, a year, to slay a third part of men. They hadn't repented. It says here, prepared for an hour, which is 15 days, and a day, 1 year, and a month, which is 30 years, and a year, which means 360 days or 360 years, to slay a third part of men. In other words, there's a prophecy here of 391 years and 15 days. My friends, this is significant. This is significant. The prophecies that we have here, we've shown about them before. These are the banner, not the banner charts, but the charts, the 1843 and the 1850 chart. Early Advent believers, Josiah Lynch, predicted the end of the Ottoman Empire as far as their autonomy before it happened. And it happened just as it said. And that's what this book is written about right here. The individual who wrote this book, Elder Dupree, he's going to be a speaker, and he will explain this completely. I can tell the story about it, but he was the one who did the research and wrote this whole article on this. My friends, this man is a PhD 4 times over. He's not a dummy. Because the challenge to us, that as we got into this prophecy, most Seventh-day Adventists don't believe that now. And Elder Dupree, Ron Dupree, went back into Adventist history in the archives and the newspapers of that era to show that this actually did happen. The Bible is true, is correct. That the prophecy predicted for the Arab people, 391 years and 15 days, happened right on time. My friends, we don't have time to finish this. We're going to take another time to finish this whole story, to go through it clearly. We just want to say thank you for watching. There's more coming. And as we get into this here completely, you'll see Islam has a part in the Bible today. Islam has a part in prophecy today, even though they're not aware of that. But we Seventh-day Adventists want you to be aware of your story, because that story is important to each one of us and each one of you, because it's about you and your ancestors. My friends, Allah loves you. He called you for specific work centuries ago. Now that day has come, and you are still involved, because Allah loves all Arab people and Muslims.